I think we've all grown up to the point that we can come to a common consensus, especially after witnessing this chapter here, that Spinner is the most tragic character in all of My Hero Academia. Before we have this review of chapter 329 of My Hero Academia, please do me a favor, leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up guys, I'm Pencil, and here we are to chapter 329 of My Hero Academia, which is known as, golly, this is a long chapter name, In the Nick of Time, a Big Time Maverick from the West, by Kohei Horikoshi, aka, man, Spinner, I feel bad for you, bro. But we hop right into the chapter and we get to see that all for one, yo, he is stanced up on this throne. And by stanced up, I mean sat it up. Like, what do you call, like, I mean, I guess sitting, like, I'd say Madara was stanced up, like, when he was waiting for smoke with Hashirama, but that man also took a whole seat. Like, I mean, nah, all for one, he's just stanced up. Even if he's sitting down, he's stanced up. And we've got two high-end, and these are specifically high-end because of their coloration. That sounds bad, but they're the deepest, darkest level of Nomu. That means they're high-end, the brain's out, they're doing good. He has three high-end Nomu, literally just like crowding around him. One's kneeling, one's like crouched down low. Like, these are all just subservient to him. And it's probably because he would literally watch them all. It's kind of crazy how high all for one scales. Even though he's still connected to that breathing apparatus, that man's still a monster, indubitably, not undubitably. And we get to see that all the conflict, like, everything's essentially working to all for one's plan. The conflicts are essentially a distraction. He played a game of hide and seek essentially with all of Japan, and he legitimately did his due. No one could find him in the 3-month span that man was gone. Or maybe not 3 months, whatever span that man escaped to, no one could find him. Not a single soul. He just managed to escape their view for that long, and it's pretty darn impressive considered. Well, actually, not really. I mean, it's kind of impressive, but at the same time, it isn't, because you got to realize the hero force that would have been speedily searching for all for one was kind of cut down exponentially, considering how many were quitting, and also police can only do so much, and also all for one's like this super massive, amazing mega villain, so it's kind of hard to find. But even still, I'll give all for one his props. That was pretty darn impressive. And Spinner, our poor boy, he's like, yo, come on now. If we're being honest, we could have also just won the hide and seek game by leaving the country. And that's true. And considering how, like, all for one could hypothetically be detected pretty quickly if he was trying to leave, like, dramatically. But at the same time, if he, like, sneakily got to the opposite end of the country and just flew, like, I'm not sure how fast his flying speed is. I'm not even sure if, like, people like Twice or Toga or Dabi or like many of the high ends could maybe even keep up with him or even withstand that force. But even still, like, Spinner's kind of right here. But the thing is, we get to see that the obtaining of One for All wasn't even really like endgame, or taking over the country wasn't even like anywhere near endgame. It was just mid-game. One for All was a mid-game. And we see that Spinner is like low-key in shock, like, wait a minute, that wasn't the end game? And all for one's like, come on now. You realize how long I've been around? I've been planning for a minute. And it's kind of hilarious how all for one is like, all right, we're in the weird mid-game right now. Like, the thing is, he doesn't call he doesn't call One for All endgame, but he does at the same time call this thing like the ultimate opportunity, the greatest obstacle in the ultimate opportunity. And that is all of the like connections that all for one has managed around the world. And the thing is, we see that all for one's like united network of criminal masterminds, these all other people that he's actually respected enough to like throw into his fold of villainy, have been like suppressed in Japan, mainly because of All Might, you know, being All Might. He struck fear into every criminal, and obviously despite him being gone for a while, they aren't going to spring back up. Like, we saw the overhaul arc, we know what happens even post All Might's fall. You just aren't going to re-spring back into full power as you were before. But on other nations, due to the lack of power, people were able to still maintain a sort of their influence. All Might wasn't a universal or worldwide figure in terms of he was literally everywhere, stopping crime everywhere. He was just a Japan-locked person, and thusly other people managed to keep doing it. But the thing is, we get to see that each of his friends that didn't really lose much power is able to restrain the country to the point that, or not just the country, every country, to the point that the governments that run those countries aren't too willing to send over resources, because if some of their biggest heroes leave to come help Japan, they would be unprotected by the people within their own, like the threats within their own nation. That's actually a really good game All For One's playing, because one of two things is going to happen. Either the country gets taken over while their strongest heroes leave to go help Japan, which may end up being a fruitless effort in the end if All For One wins, or B, they play the long game and keep their heroes there to protect the world that they live in and the current nation. Then All For One eventually wins Japan because they didn't get any help, and comes over and pincer attacks them, and they're being attacked by their own internal struggles and an external struggle that's insanely powerful. All For One, that's a good chess game right there. That's how you corner the king. I see what you're doing there, buddy. I respect the tactics. But we get to see that the one nuisance / ultimate obstacle, which could be the greatest opportunity ever, is the strongest woman around and the hero who reigns supreme in the land of the free, the home of heroes. She shrugs off cheap tricks and petty tactics. It is Star and Stripe. And we see that the reason this is the ultimate gamble is because A, she pulls up and kills him. Because All For One could hypothetically die, considering this woman is so powerful. Or, worst comes to worst, he gets her quirk. And apparently, once he acquires her ability, the rest of this quote-unquote war is pretty much just a joke. Like, that doesn't really matter to him at that point, because he's just that much more powerful with her ability. And of course, wondering her ability was, up to this point when I originally read the chapter, was, oh no, what could her ability be? But, you know, I'm behind, so obviously I know what her ability is, and it makes sense why All For One was talking like this. And this, in retrospect, actually makes it super interesting to see. But then we get to see that not only did All For One like take into account this ultimate threat and ultimate nuisance, he also actually acknowledges Spinner, and Spinner as the only person to come and stay directly with him instead of going out into the world as the others did. Like, Dobby is just out doing Dobby things, I guess, and then Toga's doing the same thing. Meanwhile, Spinner's just chilling here. But we get to see that All For One, you too corny. Like, I love All For One as a villain exponentially more than I did. Like, if you ask me my opinion of All For One, literally when the villains tier list came out, you've seen my thoughts on him originally, but now I love him so much because he's literally like, hey Spinner, you're the one who spins this tail. Get it? Because your name's Spin. Like, he is so corny, and I like that because I'm also very corny. So like, he's just downright perfect to me in terms of his portrayal and how like nonchalant he is about this massive world destroying action he's definitely about to get into. And we see that Spinner in this way by All For One, since All For One still has him here, Spinner can be used as a tool, and that this tool that Spinner can be used as is like this new symbol of not necessarily peace, but the symbol of unity to get behind. If essentially what All For One is going to use Spinner for is he's going to turn Spinner into this second Stain, this thing that people can rally behind. And the thing is that due to the chaotic nature of the world, even with All For One being this big bad centralizing power that a lot of villainy and people may get either afraid of or want to rally behind, that doesn't leave like all the people who felt rejected by society, all the people who may not know which way to go, all the people who feel lonely and maybe need someone to unite behind. Spinner being, as what All For One calls him, a heteromorph, being someone who doesn't fit into standard societal appearances in any way, shape, or form, he can act as a unity symbol while simultaneously mimicking a previous unity symbol. That's why I love the look of like this weird Stain Spinner conglomerate. And the thing is, the reason I say Spinner's the most tragic character is because this is ironically what he always wanted. He wanted people to rally behind him and try to change the society. But Spinner, at least in my mind, I know he's been a crazy person that's aligned with the worst of the worst and has literally been guarding like the massive supervillain of all big bads, but in terms of what Spinner wanted, in terms of all the people who joined the League of Villains, in my mind, Spinner, initially, out of all the people we've seen, except for maybe like Magne and no, not even Compress, literally just Magne, because, you know, Magne was literally just left out just like Spinner was, just for a different reason. The thing with Spinner is that he just wanted to change the world so society would actually acknowledge him as a person too. His own family threw him out. You got to think about that. So for him to get this goal in such a twisted way, he's not even really promoting it. He's literally a tool being used by All For One. That's it. That's his only purpose here. He's not an individual anymore. He's a symbol, but not in the same way that All Might was a symbol, more in the same way that Stain was a symbol. He's a tool whose likeness is being used to promote an idea that doesn't necessarily correlate to what Spinner himself wanted. And that's kind of crazy. I love how Stain, a character we just got like a good sighting of for the past 2 or 3 chapters, is now having his quote-unquote sequel in Spinner being manipulated and used in the same way that Stain was. Like, that is, I'm not, like, Horikoshi is a madman with the pen sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. I do have a couple problems, more than a couple, honestly, but I do have many problems with Horikoshi's writing at times. But at the same time, he has moments like this where I'm sitting here like knowing he's smoking that Spain pack. I was trying to say Spinner and Stain at the same time. Well, literally, he's smoking that Spain pack and is like, I'm gonna write me a real good narrative. And this is beautiful. This is great. And I love how we get to see it live on air. We get to see the Paranormal Liberation Front, the surviving advisors, they're coming together, and look what happens to be. They're all heteromorphs. They're all people that would not be accepted in society. And we get to see that Spinner is being made the voice, the center, the unified factor of all of this. And we see that the last bit of resistance that comes through is just the remains of people that are out there, like these people who may have been undecided. They're trying to draw them all in. And you see that this weird dude, he's a Gorillaz reference, I'm pretty sure that was confirmed by Horikoshi. And if not Horikoshi, like every person and their mother has noticed that this guy looks like a Gorillaz character. But we see that while he doesn't like the League, he has to respect their influence. And the thing is that not only Stain is being used as, not only is Spinner being used as a Stain kind of symbol to try and like go against the idea of society in the heteromorph sense and get more people to Spinner's cause, and thus All for One's cause. Himiko Toga is also being used as a symbol because while she's not a heteromorph, she is someone who was outcasted by society for her quirk, which is another big problem in the My Hero Academia society, which will also rally more people behind All for One, which will also rally more people against society, and which will also weaken society enough that All for One can take it over and destroy it all. Whew, that's spicy right there. Once again, Horikoshi with the pen, writing pure heat, pure fire. I love it. But the sad thing is, we see Dabi, who's useless. Like, the man's on his own. Like Spinner, Toga uses the All for One. All for One literally just let Dabi go do his own thing, because Dabi, that's all Dabi's useful for. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the heroes have already been thoroughly trashed enough thanks to Dabi's initial reveal, and of course, like, the war arc in general, that they don't really need any more, like, degradation. So All for One really just doesn't even mention Dabi at this point, or isn't even using Dabi at all. And we then get to see that Shigaraki Tomura is not irrelevant right now, because we see that Hawks is talking about how Star and Stripe is going to enter the airspace. We saw her at the end of the last chapter. She was rolling up like the Autobots, ready to get on in on the action. But we see that these two, Hawks and Best Venus, they're like interested in the possibility of her showing up and like possibly turning this entire thing around. She was such a powerful person that maybe her ability can really just come in and sweep the series. It may just be like that when it be like that sometimes, and we get an endgame. Maybe 100% Midoriya just isn't needed. We don't need Midoriya at all. Wonderful. It's definitely going to happen. She's not going to lose in the end. But we see that these beings have noticed a little, well, no, Hawks and Best Venus are a little bit behind on the information loop, because someone has shown themselves. And we get this beautiful shot of Shigaraki's hand, that very palm right there. But the thing is, it's marked almost like, it's weird to say sullied, but it's destroyed by the hole in the center, the hole of All for One. And I love how, like, this is another thing that Horikoshi, once again, that subtle writing that makes me go, ah, chef's kiss, is both All for One and Shigaraki's quirk are centered around their hands, but note whose quirk is centered in the general, like in the sense of their hands. All for One's quirk is a black hole that consumes all things and is just in the center of it all, like the supermassive black hole in the center of our galaxy. That's what All for One is, and of course he's in the center of Shigaraki's hand. But the external parts, the things that acts as the vessel, the thing that is surrounding the palm, are the fingers, which is what Shigaraki's quirk activates by. I think that's just really, really cool. It's something I think I noticed a while ago but never commented on. Once again, super great like usage of character design and stuff like that. But at the same time, like this leads to the possibility of Shigaraki gripping his hand and crushing the black hole within, and that's honestly what I'm still hoping for. As much as I like All For One now, I do want Shigaraki to still be our bid bad without All For One interference, because I'm not gonna lie, as cool as I like All For One is, no, as cool as I like All For One is, English pencil, as cool as I like, as much as I like All For One as a villain right now, I still would prefer Shigaraki to be our big bad, because he was built up to more. I hate to say it, regardless of how much cool stuff that All For One does, Shigaraki has had too much character development, too much time invested into him, too much everything for him to just take the backseat to All For One, or especially be saved by Midoriya. I hate to say it, I really don't want Shigaraki to be saved or redeemed. Bada bing, bada boom, it'd be like that when it be like that sometimes. But enough of talking about that hypothetical. We get to see Star and Stripe and more of her design. And I think I really, like, for a design that borders on it, like, you almost got me saying it's a bit too crowded. I think the unity of design is what saves it for me. Like the flowing cape with like her being the American flag for the most part, the stars on the cape and cloak, I think that's really, really cool. The mask, while it's definitely just like the typical domino mask to represent all like old-fashioned heroes and stuff like that, I think that works because she is from the land of the original heroes. Like superhero comics were a big thing in the US first, like the whole idea of heroes came from there. I mean, you can definitely argue that. I think there's like, are there superheroes in other regardless of that, commonly known, the US is like the big originator of the superhero concept and one of the biggest promoters of it to this day. So it makes sense that she would be carrying like an old symbol of a long time past. But I love how she is like, she's actually pretty excited at first to see Shigaraki. She's like, wow, such a warm welcome. Before I even made it here, you're free to do as you please, huh, mister? And Shigaraki doesn't respond. And we get to see her tone switch up in this serious motion. And she's like, are you the villain they call All For One? And the thing is, Shigaraki asks a very important question. Or is it Shigaraki at all? What exactly am I? And I think it's good that he doesn't say, who am I? He asks, what am I? Because that sort of implies that he's sort of transcending this idea of humanity. You can definitely argue that All For One sort of did that himself a while ago. Obviously, no one lives as long as he has no eye. Like, All For One's barely human as it is. But with Shigaraki being this new vessel form, I like the phrasing there. I like the wordage. And I also really like this design. Like the Shigaraki cloak, the like false cape that he stole from that one hero alongside Shigaraki in this dapper suit, but he still has like, he doesn't even have proper shoes on or the long socks. He really just has his nasty ashy ankles out and those little gosh darn shoes, but he's riding on top of it. Like this chapter, in terms of what is in it, despite it only being a nice meaty solid 14 pages long, really 13, I still think it slaps. It's an easy 10 out of 10 chapter for all it does, for showing us the world, showing us how much All For One has thought about things, the great tactical mind he has, the poor suffering of Spinner, a man who wanted to do so much good for the world and is now only destroying it. We get to see how our world is really reuniting and uniting against the old world, and this like great interaction between what is already a super iconic character and who I feel is going to be sticking around in the fandom and just in like viewer consciousness for a while. Star and Stripe, super great chapter, 10 out of 10. But that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.